Welcome to another episode of G.E.N Talks hosted by me, Melissa.
And me, Desiree.
Where the goal is to empower the youth of Glendale and connect youth to community resources, individuals, and organizations through interviews and discussions.
And today we are joined by special guest, Nathalia. Nathalia is the founder of Mom Money Boss. She is a FinCon 2020 scholarship recipient and featured Future Millionaire highlighted on Personal Finance Club. Nathalia provides workshops and one-on-one financial coaching with an aim to inspire first-gen, BIPOC, women and moms to take control of their money and create generational wealth.
Don't forget to follow us on our socials on Facebook and Instagram at MyGlendaleLAC. Don't forget to follow us on Spotify and Apple or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Also, make sure to give us a like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Glendale Library Arts and Culture, where we post full episodes every Friday at 4:30 p.m. So thank you, Nathalia, for taking the time every day to talk with us. We have a lot to discuss.
So to start off the interview, take us back to when you started this journey. In your bio, you mentioned how you had credit card debt, additional student loan debt, and on top of that, you had to provide for your family. So how did you navigate through it all?
Well, it wasn't easy. And everything was like a step by step. Like it was not all at the same time. And so it really started back in, I want to say maybe 2018 is when it really started, because that's when I finally decided to consolidate my credit card debt, right? So what I did as far as consolidating was, because I had a very high amount of credit card debt spread amongst 3 cards, I opened a personal loan through a local federal or like a credit union. And so I was able to, they gave me a credit line to cover all of the credit card debt. So what they did was they paid off my cards, and then I only had one payment towards that loan for the next 3 years. Okay. And so you have various ways to consolidate credit cards, but because mine was such a high amount, another way of doing it is doing what's called balance transfers into 0% credit cards. So like people will do like open a new card and take advantage of the balance transfer and pay it off within that time that they give you for 0%. Because of mine was so high, I couldn't do that. And so I chose to do a loan. And so that's how it started. It started with me consolidating my credit card debt, and I put away my credit cards for years. For about 2 years, I did not touch my credit cards. I still didn't do a budget. I still didn't do a lot of things, but I stopped using them. So I stopped the cycle, right? So that was only like the first step. That's how it started. And it was hard to navigate. I mean, there was times where I was tempted, and there was times where we were so tight with money, and we somehow made it by. We were very lucky that we had very, very low rent at the time, because we were renting like, from my father-in-law in like a little apartment, a 1 bedroom. And so that's how we made it work. But it wasn't until the end of 2019 when I finally created a budget, like a real, like, full on budget. I had started listening to a podcast called So Money by Farnoosh, and I was slowly learning about different things about money. And I heard about somebody called the Budget Mom. And I realized that what she was doing, what's called budget by paycheck, is what I was already doing too. I was budgeting by paycheck, but it wasn't like a real budget. It was just like, this is how much money I have. And then like everything's get taken out. Whatever's left is like, free to anybody.
Yeah.
And that's, that doesn't work. So we really had no savings. And, we just were basically living paycheck to paycheck, right, for many years. And then in 2019, when I finally created a budget and I got serious about, sticking to it and getting rid of my credit card debt, is when things started to move along. So in 2020, we finally started our emergency fund, which is key. And we never had savings before. So in 2020, we started that. We saved a lot of money, obviously. I sold my car because I was working from home full time. And then I was able to pay off my student loans that was left over after 10 years after graduating college. I know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you know, I was like, let's go. Let's take advantage of this, which is a very privileged place to be, right?
Mhm.
Like, I'm very lucky I have a very secure job. So I was able to do that. I was able to say, I'm working from home. Like, let's just sell this car. We don't need it right now, and let's pay off my debt and let's start stacking our money. And that's what really just got me moving forward. And so imagine 2020, the beginning, we had zero savings. Now we're in 2022 and we're about to hit $9,000 in emergency fund savings. And that's on just one income, just my income
Mm.
that I make. My husband still doesn't work. And so that's how it progressed, little by little, one step at a time, a lot of work, a lot of consistency and patience. And then last year, I became credit card debt free. Yay, I know. For many, many, many years, we
Yeah.
got to celebrate with my daughter at Disneyland. I mean, it
Oh.
was the best feeling in the world. It was, ever since taking over and managing my money, it has been so freeing, right? The
Mm.
ability to feel like in control. And it took me, what, 3 years to get out of credit card debt. It took me, you know, about a year to get into the budgeting thing and to really stick and be consistent. But yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot of progress in the past few years.
So I think you talked about it a little bit, was there a specific moment when you took that leap to step out of financial insecurity?
I wish I could remember the exact moment. You know, I don't remember what triggered it to be like, let's do this. But like for me, consolidating my debt was a big step in the right direction. And putting my credit cards away and telling myself, I don't trust myself with this right now. And until I can trust myself, then I can use them again. Right. And
Mm.
so I had to work on myself and my behavior, my triggers, in order to manage all of that. And it took me 2 years to finally kind of get it under control. So when I first started, I started out with doing what's called the budgeting, but like with envelopes. I don't know if you've ever seen those.
Oh yeah.
You
Yes,
put
yes,
money in
yes.
envelopes. And that's how I started. Like I started with like
Okay.
taking out cash, putting money in envelopes because I was like, I don't trust myself just with the card. So if I
Mm.
would go to the grocery store, I would only have $50 and that was it. Right. That was like, I couldn't spend anymore because it was the only cash I took. I didn't take my cards. I didn't take anything else. It was only that cash. So that was my limit. Right. And so
Mhm.
that's how I started to slowly and surely control and understanding your needs versus your wants. Right.
Mm.
And that's huge in your journey. You have to understand, what do you truly need in your life or what do you just want? And like, if you're in a position where you're trying to reduce debt or you're trying to reduce your expenses or whatever, you really want to try to, you know, only stick to your needs so that you can make that progress, right? But I'm also big on not depriving yourself. And so I always made a budget for like our fun budget, our little
Mm.
outings here and there, but it was very controlled, you know?
Yeah.
And so we still felt like we could do things without feeling deprived.
And can you let everyone at home know what exactly is a money coach?
Yeah. So a money coach is just somebody who helps you get your money life in order, right? It budgeting, saving, debt payoff, investing, understanding investing. So it's somebody who educates you about money and then like tells you these are all your options and then you make the best decision for your life, right?
Mm.
Another thing I do a lot with my clients is like talking about what is behind our feelings and our relationship with money, because that's huge. Like honestly, to me, the numbers are easy, right? The numbers don't lie. Like this is
Mm.
it, this is all you have. Like there's no if or what about it, right? But our feelings and our behavior, that's different. And that's what usually we have to talk through and give people perspective. And so my job sometimes can be hard because I have to kind of give them the hard truth of like, listen, like you have to decide, what do you
Yeah.
want right now? What do you want for your future? And I get that you want to like spend on A or B, but you also want to, you told me this was your goal. So
Mm.
where are you going to get headed? So sometimes we have to do that really hard internal work. One of my clients called it shadow work, right?
Mm.
It's like looking at yourself and being like, oof, like what do I really want for myself? Like what is truly, truly my passion? And looking at that and focusing on that. So that's what, you know, your money coach helps you understand money, understand your options, helps guide you through this complicated terms of the financial world, and also helps you kind of understand your relationship with money and maybe do some recovery or focus on your money experiences.
What did those like beginning stages look like for when you started Mom Money Boss?
Man, it's so funny how everything started. It started as my account was private for a long time. Like it was blocked and I only had friends and family. And I don't know if it was like I was scared of being public because I'm I'm not a private person per se, but I feel very self-conscious putting myself out there to the whole world.
Mm.
Right. And so for a long time, my account was private. I was just sharing with my friends and family. A lot of my first like workshop clients were just people I knew, college friends, work friends, my mom friends, everybody that was in my life. You were getting some kind of budgeting education from me. And so that's how it started. And then little by little, I started to take little leaps like of like things I would normally fear. And I said, I'm just going to go for it. I'm just going to go for it. Like I had a lot of imposter syndrome. Like, who am I, to talk about money? I'm not like, I don't work in the financial world.
Yeah.
I work in, in the law, criminal law. Like I do something totally different. This is just a passion of mine. And so I had a lot of like imposter syndrome that comes with that. And so my first opportunity to go public was actually with an account called Personal Finance Club. His name is Jeremy. And they picked me as one of their people to feature on their page. And he has so many followers. And he featured my journey of going from this like really insecure financial position with credit card debt to like almost on my way to becoming a millionaire when I retire, basically. And then because of that feature, I made my account public and I allowed people to ask me questions. And that's how it just like blew up from there. And, little by little, I've been taking these leaps of faith, right? Like
Yeah.
I did that. And then I actually applied for a FinCon scholarship. So FinCon is like this huge convention for financial money nerds. And last year it was in Texas, in Austin, I think. And so I applied for a scholarship and I got it. And I was super excited to be around people who love to talk money like me. I met some great people there, money coaches, influencers, all kinds of stuff. And it was just so surreal to be a part of that.
Mhm. And where did you go for advice and I guess even research when creating a business?
Man, the business part is still the challenging part, right? Like the money part to me is easy because I've been doing this for so long, but the business part has been, whew. So I think I've leaned a lot on like other coaches. So other coaches that do this have been doing this longer. I really leaned on them hard. We actually had this great meeting of like financial or people that post about finances and also other money coaches in Southern California. And we had a meetup and like that whole atmosphere was so empowering, right? I was asking them all these questions, like how you do this, how do you do that? And like we have a thread now where we can ask each other questions. I also listen a lot to Kat Del Carmen. Her podcast is called Latinas Booked Out, and she's an amazing business coach. And I hope to one day be able to work with her. But a lot of that is just asking other people. I actually met Kat at that meeting, and everybody is just so willing to help each other out and be transparent, right? Like, what are you charging? How do you charge? What are you doing? Having these conversations that are not normal for a lot of people, right? Not everybody likes to be asked like, how much money do you make? But we're trying to make this like a normal conversation so that we can help each other. And I think it's been huge. That's been where I've been mostly doing it. And then I also have a CPA who's helped me, who's actually Natalie. She is Valerie's sister.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And so she's been helping me immensely with all my stuff because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, but it's been a learning experience. So little by little, I have been coming into my identity as a business owner. Is not ever something that I thought I was going to do. I'm like a 9 to 5, like admin soldier kind of deal. And being an entrepreneur is like a whole different world. I also have an amazing business partner who she's a mindset coach. So she like, we work together very well, and like we talk each other through these difficult things. But yeah, that's kind of, where I've done it. Not really like research, but it's like learning through experience. That's really what I've been doing.
So how did you merge from both holistic and financial coaching into one?
So for me, I don't like to do just numbers. I like to get to know my clients and talk to them. So for me, holistic financial coaching is all about being able to talk to the person and their needs and meet them where they are, and not just focus on the numbers, right? I could easily just be like, these are your numbers. If you want this, you got to do A, B, and C, and that's it. Like either you do it or you don't, right? Like I'm sure like we've probably been in a situation where it's like black and white, but it's not. And so for me, holistic is like I get really close to my clients. Like we become friends, and like I get to know them. What are their difficulties? What are their obstacles? And try to talk them through it. We have this thing with my business partner that we do. It's called money therapy. Now we're not therapists, but it's just like therapy in quotes, right? Where we talk people through their relationship with money, and we talk them through like, what is your first memory of money? Right. And like, what do you feel when you don't have enough or you have more than enough? What are the feelings that come up? And so we talk a lot about that. And so I think being holistic in the sense that we include people's feelings and meet them where they're at, instead of just doing like, this is your numbers, follow the rules, and also being flexible and understanding and non-judgmental is huge. Right? Like I don't care. I tell my clients, I don't care what you spend your money on, as long as you're meeting your goals. Like I don't care. They're always like, oh my God, you're gonna see, don't judge me. I was like, girl, I don't judge you. Like I'm not gonna judge you. Like this is your life. I have my life. I have things that I'm probably like, oh my God, people are gonna judge me. No, like I spend my money the way that I value it. You spend your money the way you value it. And as long as you're meeting your goals and following what you want for the rest of your life, the rest ain't, it's not for me to judge.
And you have a 90-day money empowerment program. Can you talk a bit more about it, and why specifically did you choose 90 days as well?
Oh man, so that program has evolved. We have evolved so much. Okay, we started it last year. We're about to come to our third round, and we have evolved. Did start out with 90 days because we wanted it to be kind of like a push, a jump start for people for their journey. But then we realized like we were giving so much information and also feedback from our clients that it was like, it's not possible to do all of this in 90 days, because really it takes people months really to be adjusted to something like a financial plan, a budget, that kind of thing. And so it takes people time to work through that. And so we took our clients' advice. And so what we did was we split it. So it's still a 90-day program, but you could choose which track you want to be on based on where you're at. So you could either choose the financial foundations. If somebody's like, I've never done this, I like really need help, I don't know anything about money. And that one focuses on budgeting, saving, debt payoff, and credit. And then we have another track where it's like, well, I already have a budget, I have a lot of savings, I want to learn about investing. And that one is called Unlocking Your Potential. And so that one, you just focus all on investing, different ways of investing, and different ways of building wealth. And so it's a very different. So we actually had clients who did both. So they worked with us for 6 months. But yeah, I mean, it's just progressed from this like, let's give you all the information you can in 90 days. And they're like, whoa, to like, let's split this to make it manageable and efficient for people and let them go at their flow. And so we do that. We have one-on-ones with the clients in the beginning, myself and the mindset coach. Then they have 3 months to work through the modules that we give them, and we give them 2 workbooks, right? So not just like a money workbook of like figuring out your numbers, but a mindset workbook of like, how do you feel about your numbers? Where do you want to be? Where do you see yourself? So that's so key to this whole thing, right? And then once they finish that, then we have check-ins every month. So once a month, we do group check-ins and we do more mindset work. We do money wins together. And I think it's a lot of fun to see what other people are doing and to see them kind of changing their perspective on money.
So you also have workshops. How did you come up with like the right workshops to offer?
Whatever people wanted.
I like that.
No, literally in the beginning, during the quarantine, I had so much time on my hands, right? Because everything stopped. And so whatever people wanted, I created a workshop for it, right? In the beginning, it was just budgeting with the emphasis on saving, budgeting with an emphasis on debt payoffs. I have done retirement plan options for people who are self-employed, including parents who are stay-at-home parents, because I'm very passionate about that. My husband is a stay-at-home parent, and I don't believe that they should be left behind in this journey. We need to think about the stay-at-home parent and how are they going to retire, right? How are they going to have their own money? And so I'm very passionate about that. What other workshops have I done? I'm trying to think. I feel like there's just been so many. Basically anything that people want, I will do it. As recently somebody asked me about doing like one on credit, because even though I was in credit card debt, I've actually gotten to a point in my life now where I use credit to my advantage. So now I'm doing things like credit card hacking or travel hacking, and like getting, free stays and free travel for using credit cards responsibly. So I came from like, in the negative from debt all the way to being able to use credit cards to my advantage, and now they pay me.
I love that. But how did you prepare for these workshops, and if you have a favorite workshop?
My favorite workshop, that's a hard one. I don't know. I think the financial foundations one is my favorite, because I cover everything, and I started with building this for people who are young, right? I started with building it for like the 17, 18-year-old who knows nothing about managing money. And so that's how it started. And then it just like became this long workshop. I was literally out of breath giving it, because I wanted to make sure to give people all the information that they needed. So I cover how to build a budget, from A to Z, like everything on a budget, how to save, what kind of savings accounts do you need, right? Because it's not just one, and it's definitely not the one connected to your checking account. There, credit tips, how to use credit responsibly, and how to, work the credit into your world so that you can utilize that instead of just a debit card that gives you really nothing, right? Investing, an introduction to investing and to covering all of that. So I included all of that in that workshop, and it was a lot, but I feel like it was very, it was planting the seeds, and that's what I want. I want to plant the seeds for young people so that they can start to understand this now, right? Like I remember I gave it to my cousin, and he told me he's 18 now, I think. And he was like, I got a credit card, but just because they told me to, and I didn't even really know what to do with it. And I was like, that's right. A lot of people hear, oh, I heard it's good to get a credit card to build credit, but then they don't know what to do with it. They don't know what's the purpose of it, and they don't know which credit card to get. So you get like probably a Wells Fargo credit card that gives you nothing, when there's a lot better options out there. So things like that. I really want to teach people so that they can really, because a lot of these institutions are not built to teach us how to use it to our advantage, right? They want to take advantage of us and make us pay them money. When I was using Bank of America, they were charging me for having a savings account, $5 a month. Now I have a high yield savings account and they're paying me. So, things like that. It's very small, but it all counts towards your stability in the long run.
So going back to Mom Money Boss, how do you network and get people to know more about Mom Money Boss? But basically, like, how did you find your brand?
Oh man. So I, along with a couple of my other two mom friends and a friend of mine, we all kind of got together and we started this like women of color empowerment circle. And we would meet every month and we would talk about what kind of business we want to have and things like that. And one of my friends, she's really like creative, and I was like, what should I name myself, right? Like I was like, I don't know. And so we were going through it, and then like she's like, Mom Money Boss, because that's what you are. You're a mom and you're the money boss. And I was like, yeah, you're right. And so in my bio, you also see Jefa, right? Because I also want to identify a lot with my Latino roots, and I want to identify with the Latino community. I'm big on that, and I'm big on showing young Latinas that we can be in control of our money, we can be the breadwinner in the family, and still have like a healthy, loving relationship. It doesn't have to be a negative connotation, especially in the machista culture that is heavy in the Latino community. And so I really want to show that. I want to show that aspect of that life can be different, right? Like you can be a breadwinning, ambitious, career oriented mother, woman, and still have a good relationship, be a good parent, and heal all these other traumas, right? So it's just so much for me that that's where I really feel like my brand is. My brand is heavy on letting the Latino community know that we have that power, or anybody, people of color, because that's traditionally the people that have been left out of these conversations.
And what is something you have learned throughout this whole journey?
Oh, man. I mean, there's been a lot, there's been a lot. I think learning about myself a lot, because I have had to unravel who I thought I was versus who I'm becoming. And
Mm,
so, I've had to learn about being able to manage a business while holding a 9 to 5, while having a
yeah.
child. I've had to learn how to balance, how to rest. I've learned how to be an entrepreneur. Like, I didn't know what a DBA was. I didn't know how to file self-employment taxes. Like, I didn't know any of these things, right? I was like just nothing. And so I think that I've learned so many different things, but mostly I've learned a lot about myself and the people that I want to work with and the clients that I love having. We really make this special connection with each other because we're sharing these not only money wounds but money wins. And
Mm.
to watch women, because the majority of my clients have been women, not intentionally. I got nothing against men. I keep telling my husband, send me some male clients. Like, nobody.
Yeah.
But I joke because it's like, I'm like an alpha Latina, like I'm an alpha kind of
Mhm.
woman. And I don't know if maybe, that steers off people, but watching women be empowered with their money, take
Mm.
control, and like feel like I can do this, I can manage this. I no longer feel lost or, disappointed with myself or ashamed. That is like my by far my favorite thing to watch in this whole thing. And it's just taught me that we're capable of so much, but we're just not given the proper tools
Mm.
to do it. And once I've learned it, I was like, everybody needs to know this. So everybody that talks to me is going to hear me babble about money.
And you already touched upon this, but it's amazing how many hats you wear,
Yeah.
And so I guess at the root of it all, what does all of that mean to you? Especially being Latina and like you said, like part of like a group that, usually is like a minority and all of that stuff.
For me, it just means that I feel powerful, right? Now, it's not easy, okay? And I think that's one thing I'm grappling with this year is like the balancing act of it all.
Mm.
Because when we were in quarantine, because I was home all the time, I would work all the time. Like I had meetings. I used to do empowerment circles. I used to do workshops every month. I used to have 6 clients. Like I did all this stuff because my 9 to 5 was really slow at the time, right? And I was working from home full time, so I had time. But now I'm back in the office,
Mm.
and you know, finding my rhythm has been a challenge, right? Like little by little. And so for me, it means a lot that I'm learning how to rest and how to say no, and how to like I say cure my workaholic ways. Because I can be a workaholic, I
Yeah.
definitely can be, but I also have to learn how to rest and let my body recover, and also be present for my family, be present for my daughter, because that's the reason why I'm doing this, right? Like the whole
Mm.
reason that I wanted to start an actual business from this is to be able to increase our income, which is a part of building wealth, and provide a good life for my daughter and for my family, right? That's the whole reason. And so if I'm just working all the time and I don't enjoy that, then there's no purpose.
Mm.
So I think just taking a step back, saying no, limiting my availability. That's why we created the program as well, so I can help more people in a different way, because it's just me with like clients. It's a lot of one-on-one energy, and that's exhausting, right?
Mhm.
And so I take very little one-on-one clients right now, and most of the people that I work with are through my program. And so I think those are some of just, some of the things I've been learning about myself is like resting and balancing. And that one huge thing is, as a mother, as a working mother, you're never going to be good at everything and 100% all the time. And you have to be okay with that. I think that was really hard for me at first, right? Because I
Mhm.
think like we think we have to be good at everything. We have to keep the house clean. We have to, do this and do all these things with your kids and blah, 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 blah. But I'm like, listen, this is not realistic.
Yeah.
Not realistic. I can't do this. I'm tired,
Mhm.
So it has to be a balancing act of all of that, right? And saying no has been huge, right? One of my words this year is boundaries, like
Mm.
boundaries in my business, boundaries with other people, and holding my energy to myself and my family. Yeah.
So what is one common money mistake that you have seen throughout your journey that people make?
Whew. Okay, let's see. Okay, I guess this one is the easiest one to remember right now. But one very, very common mistake I see people make is having your checking account linked to your savings account, right? And then not really understanding your money flow. So what happens, right?
Mm.
You run low in your checking account because you don't really know what's going on. And what do? You keep tapping into that savings. Keep tapping into that savings. And that's a huge problem, because then what you're really not saving. You're just using it as a secondary checking
Mm.
to supplement your over lifestyle inflation, right? And so I really recommend people to separate their savings. Put your savings somewhere else, in a high yield savings account with an online bank that's FDIC insured. Okay, take it away. Like I say, out of sight, out of mind. My clients have had amazing results when they do that. I have had clients save $6,000 in 3 to 4 months. Clients that before had no savings at all, because they were like, I don't understand. Like, why can't I save? Why can't I save money?
Mm.
The second that you separate it and you start to be aware of your spending patterns, which one of the first things we do when you work with me is track your what you're spending your money on. And once you become aware of what you're doing, then you start to make different choices. Because if you don't know what you're doing, if you don't know what's happening, you're just like, oh man, like I only have $20 in my checking account. I don't know what happened. That's kind of like where like, doorbell, you
Mm.
gotta take a stop, and then really gotta look at what you're doing so you have awareness in your day-to-day decisions. But I think that's one of the biggest money mistakes people make. They're like, I don't know why I can't save money. And I'm like, well, are your checking account and savings connected? Yes. Are you tapping into your savings whenever your money is low? Yes. Hmm, then let's get to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's been one of the most common things. Or sending money to savings without really knowing. Like just sending this generalistic number that you think, because you want to save money, you think, oh, I'm saving. And but when you look at it, when we sit down and make a budget, I'm like, why are you sending this amount of money, but it's not there? That's why
Mm.
you're always low on your
Mhm.
funds. That's why you're always tapping into your savings, because you're sending this random amount, but that's not realistic with the actual money that is in your plan.
Mm.
So those are some of the things I've seen.
And you mentioned how your 9 to 5 is different than
Mhm.
obviously your business, but I guess did your 9 to 5 like prepare you in some way or teach you some things that you kind of incorporated with Mom Money Boss?
Organization.
Mm.
um I'm really, I have to be highly organized. I'm a paralegal. Attention to detail, that kind of stuff, it's like allowed me to find my flow with it, because you need to be organized, right? Like when I first started, it was just me by myself. And so like I would have people DMing me signing up. And so I was like, okay, this person DM me, I put them in the spreadsheet. I got to make sure to email them, got to send them reminders. Like I was doing everything by myself. And so this past year, over the end of the year, I finally hired a virtual assistant, because I
Mm.
was like, girl, how are you doing all this by yourself? Like I used to do this. I used to set reminders. I used to do all these. I'm like, I can't. So my virtual assistant helps me creating content with emails, with all these things. And again, as a woman who is not used to asking for help was like a huge deal for me. And like allowing myself to say, I can't do everything and being okay with that. And like,
Yeah.
you need the help, right? That was huge. So um, it's been really helpful to do that too.
So before we end, we have some rapid fire questions. The first question is, what is your favorite color?
Blue.
Knowing what you know now, what advice would you give your 18-year-old self?
Oh man, my 18-year-old self. I would tell her, girl, don't use that credit card. Get some kind of financial education somewhere, which I didn't even know what financial education was, right? And stop chasing boys and, go live your life. Go live your life. Go live your life. I thank God that I kind of got it together by my senior year and I like took off to Europe. But I wish I would have done that sooner and just lived for me, my 18-year-old self, man. Oof. And just pay attention to what you're doing. And yeah, I mean, live for yourself. I think that would be my, yeah.
What do you want your legacy to be?
Man, my legacy, I don't ever see my legacy as like a public thing. I see my legacy as my daughter. I want my legacy for her to show her an empowered woman, to show her, one big thing I had growing up was like, I never want to be dependent on a man. Like I had this very like, one-sided mindset of like, I'm going to be independent. I don't need a man, my husband, but, but just to show her like, as a woman, you can do whatever you want. Like there's no barrier. I don't want her to feel like there's barriers. There are barriers, but I don't want her to feel like there are. I want her to take on the world and not feel like I can't do this because I'm brown. I can't do this because I don't have enough money. I can't do this because I've never seen anybody else do it. That's not going to be her reality, right? She's going to have seen her mom graduate from college. Which I did. And she's going to see her mom succeed at her career. And she's going to see her mom walk out the door every day and go to work and live her passion, right? And she's going to see that you can be successful and happy as an independent woman. And that's what I really want. I want my legacy to be that and to be a cycle breaker for her, from, toxic generational trauma, which we are actively healing in our family. And I want her to carry the legacy of freedom, on many different ends. Yeah.
What is a book that you have read recently or are currently reading that you would recommend?
So I made my list because I've been really into financial books, obviously, but I made a list. So I would say my favorite series for somebody who's starting out in the financial realm, my favorite series by far is the book Millennial series by Erin Lowry. So I love it because she starts with like first just all things money, budgeting, saving, debt. She has another book all about investing, which I read, also great, and like breaks everything down easily. And then she has one about talking to people about money and like how to have conversations, tough conversations, how to say no to people, right? So that you can focus on your money journey. And so I really like that series. But one book, I'm telling you, the book that really has changed me recently is We Should All Be Millionaires by Rachel Rodgers. It just, reading it every day, I was like, oh my God, I need to go and get up and like, I want to do all the things, like it's so empowering to see that. And she gives so many good examples, not only about money, but about business, about your personal health, about you're taking care of yourself as a mom, as a woman. So that was by far one of the most inspiring books I've read so far this year. And the last one that I want to say it's called Die with Zero by Bill Perkins. And I like that book because it gives a different perspective to money. And so what I mean by is like a lot of times we think about, leaving things to our kids or generational wealth as like leaving as much money as we can. But he gives it a different twist, okay, where he makes you think about actually providing for your kids while you're still here instead of, giving it to them once you die, right? Like, and this is concept of dying with zero money left because you used it during your lifetime, right? And so I really like that concept, and it's one of the ones that really changed my mindset on how I want to build my wealth and how I want to utilize it while I'm alive.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Nathalia. We learned a lot about you. Thank you for taking time out of your day to sit down with us and talk. Can you let everyone at home know about any upcoming projects and where they could connect with you?
So my Instagram name is mom_money_boss. And so right now you could keep a lookout for my pre-recorded classes that I offer. I do have like I said, the financial literacy class that people can buy and keep for a lifetime and watch it over and over. I also have a 5 to 9 workshop for parents when they want to learn about saving and investing for their children's college education, which I have for my daughter. And, if you go on my Instagram, I have a lot of free tips, free content about money, how to do it, and where to start. I have like a whole series on different methods of budgeting that you can look at to see what works for you. And keep an eye out for when my 90-day program opens up, because that's going to be the way to work with me from now until the distant future. Yeah, so those are kind of the things. I also write for a financial column called Saint Lunita. Well, it's a magazine, but I have a financial column through them, and it's a magazine that's really liberating for real, for all people. And we talk a lot about the impacts of patriarchy and machismo and all of that real core, like, hard topics. Talk about all that in the magazine, and I have a financial column there. And so that's another way to connect with me, because you can ask me questions through the column.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. We
Thank
really
you.
appreciate you, and
Yes.
everything that you're doing is amazing. So thank you so much.
Thank you for
Thank
having you.
you.
Oh,
All
yeah.
right.